Let's talk about trading futures from the chart. You might recall that we can pull up a chart by clicking on a symbol in our quote board, right-clicking, and choosing chart. Another method would be to go to the menu at the top and choose quotes and charts and then new chart. Remember, once you set your parameters and set your template, any chart that you pull up will automatically be set up with those indicators and those parameters. I'm going to take the histogram on the right-hand side of the chart off just to give us some more room to play. If you do decide you want to trade from the chart, you click on this mouse. You'll notice when I hover over it, it says trade mode. It'll highlight a blue line around it. And from there, we have a quick and easy way to place orders. These buttons are pretty self-explanatory, but we'll show you what they might look like. If I click the buy button, an order ticket will pop up, and we can choose to accept or deny it. I've purchased one at the market, and it now shows a net position. You'll notice in this green area right here, it says net position 1. If I was short, it would be a red position. And you'll notice as I'm moving my cursor up and down the screen, I now can place an order by simply clicking. If you're beneath the market, a right click would be a sell stop and a left click would be a buy limit. Now, before you can trade from the chart, you're going to need to know the difference between a stop order and a limit order. That's for starters. And second, you're going to have to always remember that buy is going to be with your left click and sell with your right click. That gets a little taking used to. So I recommend that you run a demo account and you practice before you start trading with live money. But once you get the hang of it, it's an extremely quick and efficient way to place an order. For example, we're currently long an E-mini S&P. If I wanted to place an order to sell, I would right click. And we're selling on a limit at 21.40 and a quarter. And you'll notice now that I have that order in, it shows a red line where I'm intending to sell. If I wanted to buy another one on a dip, I could left click and a buy order is going to populate, and I'm going to agree to that. And now you'll notice I have a red bar and a green bar. The green bar is a buy order beneath the market. The red bar is a sell order above the market. And if I wanted to place any other orders, I would simply scroll my cursor up and down and right click or left click. Right click is to sell, left click is to buy. Whether it's a stop or a limit order changes when you go above and below the market price. And that's just because of, by definition of what a stop and a limit order are. As a really quick refresher, if you're trading on a limit, you're trying to buy or sell at a better price than the current market price. If you're trading on a stop, you are buying or selling at a worse price. Once you have orders working, you can quickly cancel them by clicking this X, and you'll notice if I put my cursor over, it tells me exactly what it's going to do. If I put my cursor over the M, I can modify the order. Once I highlight the M, I can go to my order entry window and adjust the price. Or perhaps an easier way to do it is if I put my cursor over the up and down arrows, I can actually drag my price up or down. You'll notice it says drag to change price. If I put my cursor all the way on the far left, I will have the opportunity to change the quantity. I currently have it working as a 1 lot, but if I click on that, I can change it to a 2 lot. I'm going to go ahead and cancel this order by hitting the X, and then it disappears. And the sell limit, I'm going to move down to a level that might get filled, and we'll just let that work for a little while. So as you can see, you can place straight limit orders and stop orders relatively easily. If I was trading 5 lots or 10 lots, something other than 1, I'd simply change the quantity up here. You can also click on this calculator and change your default. So for example, if you want to place orders in increments of 5 without actually typing in or scrolling up or down, you could do that, or you could choose the 10, the 20, so on and so forth. Or if you could do it the slower way and scroll, or you can just type it in. You'll notice there's also an exit at market and cancel. If you hit that button, it will cancel all of your working orders and exit the current position at the market price. You can also reverse and cancel. I'm not necessarily a big fan of that button, but it is what it is. I know some traders like it. If you reverse and cancel, it'll cancel all of your working orders, and it'll actually bring you from being long to short or vice versa. So let's try that. If we click on reverse and cancel, we confirm it. and it actually sold 2 S&Ps for us. One was to offset our long, and one was to go short, and you'll notice now the position shows short 1. You can also find your position up here in the right-hand corner. It says -1. That means we're short 1. It gives us the price that we're short from, and then it tells us our total P&L. The total P&L is a cumulative of any trades that you've done today in the E-mini S&P or whichever market you're trading. And of course, you can adjust the display settings by clicking Display Settings, and you can go through and see what it is that you want to look at, what you don't want to look at, how you want the information displayed, so you can play with that. Another feature that I'm compelled to mention, but I'm not necessarily a huge fan of, is the order attaching feature. The order attaching feature allows traders to place orders based on technical indicators or market highs and market lows. So if I highlight order attaching, you'll notice it now has a blue box around it, and I go to place a buy limit. You'll notice on the right-hand side of the screen, on the left-hand side of the screen, it'll say bottom, Bollinger Band close, E-mini S&P, and then some of the parameters for the indicator. What that is saying is you are actually tagging that buy order to the bottom of the Bollinger Band. This way you don't have to guess where exactly the Bollinger Band is. It'll tell you, and it'll place the order there. You might be able to do something similar using a higher low, a market higher low. If you place your cursor anywhere on the chart, you'll notice that now on the left-hand side of our row, it says low, and that is basically placing a buy order on the low of that bar. This is something that you're going to want to play with. It may or may not be useful to you, but I thought I'd mention it. Last but not least, you can run strategies out of the chart trading function. For example, bracket orders is probably the most common. So if a trader goes long the market, he might want to place a stop order beneath the market and a limit order above the market to exit the trade. Those would be one cancels the other orders, because obviously if you're filled on the profit order, which is the limit, you don't want to have your stop working, which would actually put the trader in a short position if they were both filled. So obviously if you're filled on one, you want the other canceled. Again, one cancels the other. So if you wanted to build a strategy, click on the triangle and then choose Configure. It's going to ask you to name it. We'll just name ours DeCarley, but obviously you can name it anything that you'd like. So once you have the bracket window open, you can create your strategy. In this particular platform, you have the ability to have 3 brackets. So for example, if you're buying 3 futures contracts, you could have a different bracket attached to each one. And what that means is a different stop and limit order for each contract traded. Most people, I would venture to say, probably just use one bracket, whether they're trading more than one contract. That way their stops and their limits are in the same place. It simplifies things. I'm not saying that's the better strategy. In fact, maybe it's the opposite, but that's what most people do. So you'll notice the first thing you can do is display your price as. You can choose ticks, points, or currency. If you have it as points, you'll be entering your orders based on the points from the entry price. If you do it ticks, you'll be entering your stops and limits based on ticks from the entry price. I recommend that most traders use points. It's just a little easier to deal with. You could also use currency, meaning dollar amount. If you wanted a $50 stop or a $100 stop, you could do it that way. Again, I think points are the more straightforward version. Change your quantity and your factor type. Now notice the first part of our bracket is a limit, and the second part of the bracket is a stop. So on our limit, we're going to choose what our profit target is. Maybe it's 1 point, which is the default. Or we can toggle it to 2 or 4, or we could even type in 50 if we wanted to. Let's keep it reasonable. So notice we're typing in $5 in profit, which is a $5 limit. And it actually does the math for us just so we know what we're looking at. That's 20 ticks, or that's 250 bucks. And that sounds right. So now that we have our $5 limit set, let's also place our stop at $5. And we're going to hit OK. So if we actually want this strategy to run, we make sure that we have DeCarley chosen, which is our preferred strategy. We highlight it, and you'll notice it now says DeCarley. Now, when we place an order, that bracket will automatically be placed. Let's go ahead and just buy one at the market. And it's going to remind us that we are placing a strategy order, meaning that our bracket will be placed along with it. We can choose do not ask this again or not. And you'll see that we are now long 1 E-mini S&P. You can see our position here. We could also go to our filled orders window and take a look. We can also go to our positions tab and we'll see that we're long 1 E-mini S&P. And we can see that our bracket's working. If you look at the active orders window, here's our bracket. We have a $5 stop and a $5 limit. We can also see that on the chart itself. If you notice the lines, the horizontal lines, those represent our stop and our limit. Now, keep in mind, if you cancel one, it's going to cancel the other because they are linked. However, if you move one, it's not going to affect the other. For example, let's drag our stop order up. Let's say that the market did go in our favor. We wanted to move our stop. We did that, but you'll notice that our limit stayed in the same place.